All right, we're rocking and rolling.
Excellent. Well, everybody, welcome today. I'm going to take this in a little bit of a different direction today than just doing a standard presentation. I actually had a great meeting today with a friend of mine. We've been friends for nearly 20 years. Um, he is an absolute brilliant marketer, online marketer and stuff. And it was interesting because what got him into online marketing was a project that me and him had done together, got him intrigued. He actually spent time looking into it, and he's been very successful at moving that forward since then on getting things going. But in the process of doing that, he actually ran into Bitcoin back quite some time ago, and he looked at it and he said, this looks really cool. He actually read the white paper because he's one of those guys that actually he's read every single Google patent from cover to cover. So it's a very intense gentleman who really studies, really looks at things. And so when he looked at Bitcoin, he liked what he saw, but he was concerned. And I think this is a big concern of a lot of people out there is what will happen to Bitcoin's future, right? Can the World Economic Forum, can the governments, can they shut this down? Can they stop it? Can they, what's the real value proposition behind the token? So he understood Bitcoin. He understood the value proposition there as a store of value, as a digital store of value. Loved the concept and the idea of decentralization. So all of that was good. But his only concern, and the reason why he didn't get full bore into it, and today would be phenomenally wealthy, because this was 2011, 2012 time period when he first looked at it, um, is because he was worried that the government would shut it down. There's no way that the governments, and I want to ask a question in the chat. Does anyone else have that thought, like a worry, a concern that because of the nature of this, right, being considered a currency and only governments create currencies, right? Even maybe if you don't have it now because you've gotten over it, at one point, did you have that thought process when you first saw crypto that, wait a minute, there's no way that the government's ever going to let this happen? So, and as me and him discussed this, I told him, look, the genie's out of the bottle. There is no way to put the genie back in the bottle, right? It's absolutely impossible at this point. And if you want to look at the viability of what it is, and we're going to get to, he asked me, he goes, well, so what would it take for them to stop, to close down what was going on? And he brought up back in the day when they decided to make owning gold illegal, and the government literally forced people to turn over all the gold. Most people complied. But eventually, as I told him, gold became legal again, right? And it moved in that direction. So there's just a dynamic here. And I think this is why sometimes we hesitate in sharing concepts and ideas about crypto, because we know that these arguments are going to come up, or concerns are going to come up. And when we were sitting there talking and we were going through it, I said, listen, if I would have talked to you, 10, 15 years ago, I don't know the date when Uber started. If I would have come to you and said, hey, listen, this is what I'm going to do. And actually it would have been Lyft, was prior to Uber. If I'm going to start a taxi service, okay, but I'm, instead of buying medallions and paying the regulatory fees and all the state stuff, I'm going to simply make it where Peter could take his own car, he can sign up for this app, and he could go pick up people and drive them around, and bring them to where they need to go. So if you look at that from the surface, if you know anything about taxis in New York and Chicago and these places where you need to have medallions, and these medallions sell for $1 million, right? By owning one of them, they normally get passed down from generation to generation. You would realize that the taxi service was almost like a mafia, right? I mean, it was so controlled and so impenetrable that it was almost impossible to do anything, right? As a matter of fact, they would have at the airports, right, ways for you to report people that would come up and say, hey, you need a ride. I'm a car service. And because they weren't going to the taxi lane, right? So some innovative people said, listen, we have a better service. We have a better way of doing things, something that's going to benefit people more. Good ideas always win, even if the regulatory environment is against them. And that is the point of crypto. It's the point of blockchain. It's the point of Web3. Web3 is a better form of the web. Why? Because it's a web that's controlled and owned by the people and not by a small few. And we say a small few, it's thousands of corporations. But when you're talking about billions of people using it, thousands of corporations and even the tens of millions, hundreds of millions of people who own shares in those companies pales into comparison to a Web3, where literally every single person who's using it is an owner in that process, their data, their information, all of that stuff. So this was a fascinating talk that we had today because we were going through this entire process. So we came back to, look, if you want to see how viable crypto is, blockchain, and how powerful the technology is, simply go look and see how many times did China. So now the US government's powerful. The European government's powerful. They can force a lot of people and move a lot of things in their direction. But there's nobody on this planet that's more powerful than the Chinese government when it comes to controlling their citizens. They've got cameras everywhere. They've got kids telling on their parents, right? I mean, you're talking about a communist state who, if anybody could shut something down, it should be them. They couldn't do it. They banned mining. Mining is still in China. They banned cryptocurrency. I believe 7 or 8 times they banned Bitcoin from people being able to own it, buy it, sell it, use it in all forms. Every single time it failed. Why did it fail? It didn't fail just because of, magic. It didn't fail because, miracles. It failed because the technology does not allow it to happen. The technology is decentralized. This is why, if you're standing there going, I don't kind of like the way my government's going. I don't care where you live in the world. I don't care what party you belong to. I don't care about any of that stuff. If you don't feel like government is working for you, then that we need to change it. But we don't need to change it just by going to the ballot boxes, because we've tried that for year after year after year. We need to change the system. And that's not revolution or anything crazy. It is simply bringing decentralized applications and decentralized companies to the forefront. And eventually, when that becomes big enough and billions of people are using decentralized models, Web3, then the governments will begin to transform into decentralized governments. Governments that work for the people, by the people. That is the solution for where we're heading and where we're going to. And what does that have to do with DFY? All of this has to do with DFY. Because if we go out and we get people to come in that say, wow, I'm going to give you $190 and put up some digital assets, and you're going to give me back what? At least 450 or more in digital assets. And I'm going to get these in Web3 projects. We're essentially opening the door for people to be able to engage in Web3, which ultimately will lead to a decentralized solution. It's kind of like, Costco. Okay. So everybody here put a 1 in if you've been to a Costco, right? We've all been to a Costco. And they have those people that have little pieces of cheese and meat and pastries and stuff in little cups. And you walk by and you're like, nah, that doesn't look very good. And then they give you a sample and you eat that sample and you're like, that was pretty good. Let me go buy some, right? And you put it in your cart and you get home and you're like, why did I buy that? Oh, that's right. They gave me a sample. They gave me a taste of it. They gave me the opportunity to experience it. And that's what we're talking about with DFY. So as we started going through this, so China can't ban it. The technology is absolutely unbelievable. And the best technology always wins. It's the reason why the internet dominated. If you go back and look, when the first internet first started, there were people that were writing articles, smart, intelligent, news people and business people. Wasn't going to work. It was just for criminals. It was just for, this bad activity. Then the dot-com boom happened. And then after that, when the bust came, they were talking about it being a fad. It was never going to work. We kind of told you so. But then out of that, the technology, because all of a sudden, instead of me having to have a travel agent, I could just go on and book a travel thing at midnight, right? I could just go to a website and book it myself. How many people here heard prior when the internet first came up is that people would never put their credit card in the internet, right? These are all things that were said, right? I'll never put my my credit card in. I'll never use social media. Now there's a few people that still don't, but for the most part, we all give in and we go, well, I need it for my business or I need it for this. It's a better way to communicate. It's a better way to keep up. It's a better way to get information. So wait a minute, I should use it, even though when I first didn't know about it. So this is the stage that we're at right now in crypto, guys. So there's been the internet, there was a giant boom, there was a bust, and then there's been some ups and downs along the way, but there's been no major bust since then, okay? With crypto, on the other hand, we've had some major booms and then some major busts, major booms, major busts, major booms, major busts. And the reason for that is when we went through the internet, the boom and the bust, by the time the bust happened, there was already robust commerce happening in the web. There was already revenue being produced. So during the bust time, they were able to continue to develop that, build more clientele, build more revenue, become profitable or break-even companies, or in Amazon's part, lost money year after year after year, but kept showing progress and growth and sales and innovation in their development, right? And they were building out the infrastructure. That is what's going to happen this time in crypto, okay? So I do not believe, and again, not financial advice, I do not believe this next bull and bear market will resemble any bull or bear market before this. And when I went through this last bear market, me and the team, it was a rough bear market, right? Because of that. But here we have now functionality. So we're moving, the next Web3 team, the Nexus team, is moving towards using Web3 projects on a daily basis. So if we play a game, why not play a Web3 game? Why would you play a Web2 game where either you're going to spend money or you're not going to get anything for it, when you can play the same game, exact same game, basically, right? So, let's say it's a tile game or, a puzzle game or solitaire or any of those. Why would you play the ones that are Web 2, where eventually they're going to keep trying to get you to spend money? Why not play one in Web 3, where they may try to get you to spend some money because it's a business? However, what they're going to do is compensate you in digital assets, right? We're using one right now, Ember, where every day I'm mining more and more sats, which are Satoshis, part of a Bitcoin. Bitcoin goes down a little bit, I make a little less. Bitcoin goes up a little bit, I make a little bit more. Bitcoin 5, 10, 20, 50 X's, I make a whole bunch more, right? For my time and effort into putting in there. So it really actually makes sense for us to begin to convert. I use Brave as my browser. Been using it for a few years now. It blocks tens of thousands of ads every single month that I don't have to spend my time looking at, pop-ups and things that I don't have to spend my time looking at, wasting my one precious commodity that I have, which is my time. So these are better tools that are better for the individual. So if you have better technology, better tools that have a better way of doing it, then there's only one conclusion. Web3 will win the day. Web3 will be the dominant player over Web2 because it's a better model. Let's go back to Uber, okay? So Uber faced a massive amount of challenges, okay? Cities would throw them out. Cities would shut them down. They did all kinds of crazy things. in the background to make it happen. But at the end of the day, why did Uber survive? Because people in power would say, oh, I got to get a taxi. Oh, I no taxis available. Let me try this Uber thing. And they went for rides themselves. And their family members used it. And they said, wow, this is incredible. Instead of me waiting for my taxi and having a call and go, hey, taxi, where are you? I could see the car arriving. These are all models we have been moving ever since the 60s. We have been moving towards a decentralized society. Rules have been getting more. Regulations have been piled on by the centralized system. But we as people are moving towards a decentralized life. Decentralized lives are where, we get a chance to make decisions in our own lives, things that we can go drive our own car and go make money with it, underutilized assets. Things like Kickstarter, which is a decentralized model to help fund businesses, right? Not fully decentralized because it's a corporation that's owned by investors, but partially decentralized. What we have our hands on to do now is to move towards a fully or majority decentralized society. And that can happen very quickly, or it can happen very slowly. If it continues to happen slowly, the sad part is, and again, these are my personal opinions, there will be a lot of pain, suffering, and discomfort for ourselves, for our loved ones, and for everybody that's on the planet, right? However, there'll be a lot less of that if we, the people, me, you, our friends or families, embrace Web3 and usher in a decentralized future as fast as we possibly can. That's what DFY is. So if you're here and you never heard of it, you're like, I was supposed to learn about these airdrops. Essentially, airdrops are projects that say, listen, instead of selling off our company to wealthy investors, instead of me trying to keep as much of it as I can, we're going to keep as a team, a development team, 10 to 15, maybe 20% of the entire project. The other 80 to 90%, we are going to share with the people who help us build and develop the network. Some of that may be some early investors, 5, 10%, 15% to early investors. But the rest of it is going to go to the people that support the network. Another part of the solution that he asked me about is, why do these tokens have value? Why do these networks have value? It's because of the user base. We are moving towards where right now we all know that money is the number one driver, right, in the world. That is changing. Information is becoming the most valuable thing in the world. I want you guys to think about how many businesses that you deal with that let you use their software for free. Facebook, you don't pay to use Facebook, right? You don't just pay to use Twitter. How are they monetizing? One is with advertising. But the bigger way that they're doing it is they are selling your data and information for fiat currency, because data and information has value to it. And that is why decentralization works better than the centralized. The centralized, the information is created by the people, and a small group, companies, monetize it and make a lot of profit off of it. In a decentralized society, a decentralized future, we create the data, same as over there. The difference is we get to share in the monetization of that data, of that information. And that's where we begin to shift. We shift in a world where wealth is balanced because there's mechanisms, there's tools, there's technology that allows for us to get back a piece of that data, that information. And then, of course, you have networks. Networks are these groups, these people, chains that have, 10,000 users, then 1 million users, then 1 billion users. And because of the value they're creating, their token price goes up. Because every transaction on a chain has a cost to it, whether it's a penny or a dime or a quarter or $18 like it is on the Ethereum network. Every single time one of those transactions takes place, let's say you have a chain that has 1 billion users eventually, And each one of those users are doing 8, 10, 12, 15, 20 transactions a day because it encompasses all kinds of things that we do, our finances, our entertainment, and so many other avenues, our health, our medical, all of that stuff is on chain. And there are billions of transactions being done every day. And every time one of those transactions takes place, it generates revenue. And instead of that revenue going to a corporation and then sharing it with the owners, the shareholders, and using it to pay their bills, in this mechanism, they pay the bills of the project, and then all of that profit is shared through the tokenization, through this digital asset, to the people who hold it. And that helps drive the value of these tokens. This is absolutely makes perfect sense. And if you listen to the head of BlackRock, Larry Fink, he says everything's going to be tokenized. The CEO of Franklin Templeton, these are major companies, are saying that everything is going to be tokenized. So if everything is tokenized and everything runs on these chains, then there will be trillions of transactions happening on a monthly, yearly basis. How do I tap into that? We support the projects like we're doing with DFY. We get some of their digital assets given to us for participating, and then we now hold or stake or sell off, whatever we want to do with those assets. And that is how we participate in this future. This is how we move things forward. This is how we benefit from it. So DFY, we have packages. So part of how all of this is being distributed, because it's really, and Doug said, wait a minute. He goes, this sounds like it's just a glorified and not glorified, but the ultimate rewards program. And I said, you got it, Doug. Absolutely. That is exactly what it is. These airdrops are simply the most effective, most efficient rewards programs ever given out by mankind. It's really that simple. It's better than any one you have at your favorite sub shop. It's better than anyone you have at your Circle K. It's better than anyone at your grocery store, because they're giving you a fixed asset. 20 cents off a gallon of gas. Okay, well, if I buy 20 gallons of gas, I'm going to save $4. In the tokenization world, I'm giving you a non-fixed asset. It can go up and it can go down. So I go to the gas station, pump my 20 gallons, $4 off my bill. I now have $4 of fiat currency, which is going to do what? Be deflated, right? We know that. It'll be worth less tomorrow, the next day, the next day, the next day. I can invest it maybe and turn it into something more. But in this digital thing, in this ultimate rewards program, I can receive a digital asset that tomorrow, next week, next month, next year, as the chain develops, as it builds, it can start to go up in value. I'll give you an example. A couple $1,000 invested last June, not 10 years ago, not 20 years ago, not when Bitcoin launched in 2009. A year ago, June of last year, a couple $1,000 in a project called Caspa. Today, you would be a multimillionaire. I'm going to say that again. A couple $1,000, invest it. Or if you would have participated maybe in their airdrop, I believe they did an airdrop as well. Think about that. If a couple thousand became millions and they did an airdrop, and I'm going to look into it to see, because I'm pretty sure they did one. What would that airdrop be worth today if you would have received it? Even if it was only $100, it would be worth tens of thousands of dollars. There's been other airdrops, like the Uniswap airdrop that took place, that at one point, when the project was at its top price, it's still worth about $4,000 or $5,000 today. At one point, I believe it was worth $30,000 for one airdrop as it went up in value. This is the most incredible opportunity we have in front of us. First of all, we're going to get digital assets, which through a third party can be converted to fiat extremely easily, extremely fast, and extremely efficiently, right? No problem. Digital asset to fiat. No problem. Okay. So that's the first part of it. The second part is we begin to support projects that are ushering in Web3. What did we say that was? That is the people's web, not the company's web, because that's what we have right now, the government, the company's web, and we're just using it, right? So right now, the owners of the web let us use it. They take our data and information, they sell it and monetize it, and then they keep the majority of that pie. In Web3, we're the landlords, we're the owners, we're the ones, because we have all of these digital assets that we've earned through airdrops and through participating in projects and all these reward programs, which keep coming to us month after month after month after month after month after month, whether you do it yourself or whether you hire DFY to do it. So we become the landlords. It's what we call the participatory economy. It's where instead of just being a part of a product of the economy, which is what we all are, right? Consumers. They actually have a name for us. Consumers. We consume, and we basically support the companies by consuming. The participatory economy, we get to participate. We're still consuming, but as we consume, we get to participate. We get to be a part of the economy. We get ownership in the economy. And so that's the next difference. And then we go one step further. And that is, so we've got, Web3. And then the next step is Web3 is a decentralized future. And it moves us not just from a decentralized economy, but to an entire decentralized society that is better for people like us, people that get up, go to work, people that are productive, people that are going to go out and make this a better place. So that is the pitch for today, guys. I'm not going to pull up the slides. I don't think I need to at this point. If you want to get more information, we have some recorded versions of it. Corey will be doing the regular presentation on Thursday. You can come back and you can see the packages and how it works and what we do and the promises that we make. But really, I wanted to take this time because I was fascinated in this conversation, right? We're just having a conversation, eating a slice of pizza and talking. And I was just fascinated as I went through it in my own mind and laid it out and overcame the objections that he had. So by the time we were done, he understood it. We're going to be doing some stuff together. He's going to be helping us with DFY. He's going to be helping us with all kinds of stuff. But it was absolutely incredible. And so I wanted to share that tonight because I've already done, tens of presentations, right? Every single week for the last few months, we've been doing this presentation. But I really wanted to share that with you guys. We'll open it up in the comment section in the chat if anybody would like to give any insight or feedback on that. It would absolutely be incredible. If there's no feedback or no questions, you can put some questions in the Q&A on anything that I just talked about or said, or anything you need to know additionally about DFY. We can answer those questions. If you don't have any questions, then I will say thank you for joining me. Hopefully, I know if you came to see the presentation, you might be like, this wasn't really what I was looking for. But I felt in my heart that I needed to deliver this message. I wanted to get it recorded. We have it recorded. It's on YouTube now because it's super important for our future. It's super important for, the next few generations that we actually move this stuff forward and get it going in that direction. So with that, no comments in the chat at this point and no questions in the Q&A. I want to say thanks for joining me and look forward 5 o'clock PST on Thursday. Corey will go through the presentation step by step. You there, Corey? He might have stepped away. Well, I guess while he stepped away, we can continue to talk. Jody, thank you, buddy. If I could pull you up, I'd have you come up, raise your hand and come up, but I need Corey to pull you up. So he probably thought, well, Peter's going to talk for an hour, so I might as well go for a jog or something or go eat dinner or something like that. They have been absolutely jam busy today, helping people go through with the airdrops, we're doing what's called proof of humanity. So you can prove that it's a person that's actually getting the airdrop, not a bot, not any type of computer program. And we're taking everybody through that right now. So they have been absolutely flat busy doing that stuff today. I'm going to try to call Corey here and let him know that we are done. And then he can end the call. If you want to go ahead and say goodnight, and that's beautiful. Let me see. I will call him. Yes, they are working their butts off. You know it. Yes.